Back behind me here is a 6-month-old compost pile built back in October, and I want to show you what I got in it. First of all, there's biochar in this. I make this biochar right here on the farm. It's great for holding nutrients, especially in this sandy Florida soil. And this is the coolest stuff. I mean, it's just awesome. And I also got wood chips in there, lots of wood chips. Not just any wood chips. These things have been chipped, they've been piled, they've been moistened, they've been kept moist. And these things are already cooking some beautiful stuff. Let's take a look. You can see here we got organisms. There was a millipede. We got little white specks of fungus growing in here. It's kind of gray. So it's already cooking before I've even put it in a compost pile. I put leaves in my compost pile, and not just any leaves, not just leaves that just fell from the tree. I take these leaves, I chop them up 2 to 3 times with my mower, and then I spray inoculation. I spray high quality compost extract on all the leaves as they're laid out. Then I pile them up and I stick them underneath this tarp, and I let them cook here for months. So, and you can't really see it in there, but there's just white leaf mold, different kinds of stuff growing on here. And it's just looking beautiful already. So this goes in to the compost. And the key ingredient, well, one of the key magical ingredients is Mexican sunflower, Tithonia diversifolia. Before this stuff goes to seed in the spring, like right now when it's just growing like crazy, this stuff has more nitrogen than chicken manure. I mean, some estimates put the carbon to nitrogen ratio at about 7 to 1. That's huge. Chicken manure is only 15 to 1. 7 to 1. That's huge nitrogen. And this will serve with the stalks, which are higher in carbon than the leaves. Leaves are super high in nitrogen. With the stalks, I just chip them. I just run them through my chipper, and it just comes out just little tiny pieces. I put that in the compost, and man, that's the greens and it's the high nitrogen. This stuff will make the temperature in that compost pile spike. This is what turns it into thermophilic compost. Amazing stuff. I'm growing a whole 30 by 50 garden of this stuff just to make good compost. So now that you've seen what's in it, I'm going to go get a little glass container. I'm going to go get a little scooper, and I'm going to take several tablespoons out of this pile, and we're going to put it into a mixture, and we're going to take a sample and look at it under the microscope, and that will be interesting. So you've seen what's in my compost. Here's a sample took from about 5 different locations in that cage that you saw. This stuff is a little different than Miracle-Gro organic potting mix. This feels like clay. It's moist, and if you squeeze it together, it sticks together. You could mold this into a ball and it will stay. Now, there's not a bit of clay in our soil. 0. Okay, we have like 86% or 82% sand, about 18% silt, no discernible clay. This stuff feels like clay, but that's because the organisms have been doing their work. They have been creating these glues that pull and aggregate this organic matter into these clumps. You can actually see it with your eyes. When you look at it, it looks like there's just little clumps all over, sort of like that ice cream, the little dipping dots. It actually kind of looks a little bit like that. It's just these little balls all over the place because they all stick together. Now, you saw this cage. It's actually on a pallet. You didn't see the pallet, but the pallet's 4 inches off the ground. There's worms in this compost. I did not put them there. They occurred there naturally. Maybe there was eggs in something. There's worms. In fact, as I was scooping with my little, not this scoop, but with my little spoon, I was scooping out. There's a worm trying to go in my little sample jar. And I threw him back in the pile. He was about 2 inches long. So there's worms. So not only is this compost, but now, 6 months into it, it's vermicompost. So this is amazing stuff. So I've got a sample, I've got it under the microscope, and so we're going to take a look. And let's switch to the camera view. And we're at 40x. We're kind of looking, let's just kind of jump smack dab in the middle of the slide. There's a big air bubble. We'll kind of get away from the air bubble there. This is a lot of organic matter. Now let's just take a quick comparison. Let's look at that. And I'm on the wrong slide there. Let's back up. So this is the Miracle-Gro organic potting mix. This is the same magnification. This is the same dilution. This is 40x. Okay. This is my stuff at 40x. Do you see the difference? You see the difference in the organic matter. Do you see the difference in the aggregates, all the little pieces of stuff? It generally just looks blacker, if that's a word. Is that a word? I don't know. So right from the beginning, we see more stuff. Okay. If we zoom in, let me go ahead and bump it up to 100x, and I'll switch my scale. All right, so let's do a little focus here, and we're gonna add a little shadowing. All right, so let's take a look at that, and let's compare that to what we see in the Miracle-Gro. Okay, so there's the Miracle-Gro. Okay, there's my compost. And do you see those? Look at these big pieces. Okay, look at these big pieces. And right off the bat, okay, something else. Now that we're at 100x, there's something else that is immediately starting to show. There's a testate amoeba. Okay, there's one there. There's one there. There's one there. It looks like it's dead, probably destroyed in the shaking. There's another one, probably dead, destroyed in the shaking. There's one. That might be one. So I got like 1, 2, 3 living ones and a couple dead ones in this slide alone. Whereas in the Miracle-Gro organic potting mix, I found like one in the entire slide. Now I'm just looking at one 100x field of view, and I see three that are living, 5 that are there. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and we'll jump down. Actually, you know what? Let's back up. Let's go back to my 40x. Okay, and I'm going to run it from here. Let's jump over to here, and we'll just do like I do. We'll just do kind of a quick survey. And at this level, we're looking just for kind of big stuff. We're looking for nematodes. If we look real close, we can see testate amoeba in this, but we're not really looking for that here. Mostly I'm looking for nematodes. I'm looking for enchytriids, which are potworms. Those are huge. Those will scare you. They'll just jump right out, and they'll fill the whole field of view here. All right. So we'll just scan, see what we got in here. And there's a nematode right there. All right. See him right in the middle, moving around here. Let me change my scale because I'm still showing 100x when we're at 40x. So there, we fix that. So there's a nematode. Quick guess is bacterial feeder. um, just just by the way they move. Uh, a bacterial feeder is really going. A root feeding nematode much slower. A fungal feeding nematode much slower. So I'm not going to drill down and look at this guy because he's probably a bacterial feeder. But great to see. If you see one in an entire slide, that's a good start. That puts you at about 140 nematodes per gram. So that's great to see. Right, so we keep going. Just a lot of organic matter. Even from this level, um, I can see little fungi sticking out here and there, mostly from pieces of organic matter in between them. Okay, can see a testate amoeba at this level. That's always cool. They're pretty big, actually. So, all right, we'll keep going here. See what else we got. Here, let me show you one here. So here on this screen, there's one right there. It's kind of in an open space, so it makes it easy to see. Okay. Compost changes over time. Um, you go through different populations of nematodes. And on this particular compost pile now, I really don't see that many nematodes. I'm meeting the basic biocomplete levels, but I have seen so many more nematodes at different stages. Like just a couple months in, like 3 months in, I've counted 12 nematodes on one slide before. So it's pretty amazing uh, what you find at different times. So back to here, seeing what else we got. At this level, you can also see like microarthropods. And there's another nematode right in the middle. Let's see here if you guys can see that. He's moving right here, jumping around. He's jumping around like the behavior is a bacterial feeder. So that's great. That's two of them in one slide. I think I've mentioned before, some people do their nematode scan at 100x, and that's fine. You're not really going to miss a nematode. You're going to see it for sure at 100x. I usually don't take the time to do it at 100x. It's like, well, it's twice the number of fields of view for sure. So it just takes a lot longer to do that scan. At 40x, I probably miss one or two here or there somewhere. But I'm okay with that now. There's something else. Okay, right there. We're going to go ahead and drill down on this. So we're jumping up to 100x. And we're taking a look at that guy right in the middle. Let's go ahead and jump down to 400x. Okay. So let me change my scale here. And oh, this is cool. Now, first of all, there's a flagellate right here. So I don't know if you can see that little guy. And my screen dorked up. Let's fix that. So a little flagellate just kind of rolled off the screen. But this guy here This is really interesting. Um, and I get a little bit better. I get live resolution here. Your video is a little choppy, but there's ciliate all over this thing. And now I've never seen something like this actually. It's kind of worm-like. I would think at first I thought it was a rotifer. But it's not it doesn't appear to be a rotifer. It appears to be some kind of ciliate because it's covered in cilia. It's not a flagellate because flagellates only have a couple of flagellum. This has the little cilia all over it, and they're all just vibrating and moving. So super cool. Um, if it is a ciliate, ciliates can handle much less oxygen, and so it's important to note ciliates. If there's a lot of ciliates and the number of ciliates is growing, you have a problem. You have an oxygen problem. Um, so you need to, and there's a nematode. I just see a nematode down in the corner there. So that's 3 nematodes now. Um, but if you just see a few ciliates and you check again in a few days and there's still just a few ciliates, you're good. You just don't want to see that number really, really exploding or growing. So let's switch back to our view here. And so we're going to count that as a ciliate, and we're going to count that other nematode. So we're up to 3 nematodes now, which is really, really great. Sometimes at this level, I'm going to just double check that thing right in the middle. See, it's kind of curved. It kind of reminds me of a nematode body, and it actually might be. So this at 400x, that might be a dead nematode body. Kind of looks like that. No, we don't count that, of course. Just wanted to check it. All right. So that takes us back to the upper corner. So now what we're going to do, jump back down here, and we're going to jump over to 400x, go through 100, go to 400, and this is where we start our assessment. And this is our, if we were doing a quantitative assessment where we are counting organisms, um, this is what this is where we would start. And like I've said before, we would do in kind of a swimming lane pattern um, on the um, on the slide. We would do like 5 fields of view and then jump a little bit and do 5 more this way and then jump a little bit and kind of back and forth. And generally, we're going to run at least 20. I can look at the statistical data as I'm doing this, and if my data is too variable, I'll keep going. I've gone up to even 30 fields of view to try to bring that standard deviation or the standard error down to something that's much more reasonable and makes my data much more believable. So what we've got right here, we're starting at 40x, and let's do a comparison again with the Miracle Grow potting mix. So here's my stuff, and let's jump over to the Miracle Grow stuff, where you see a spore here, and you see bacteria. But in my stuff, you definitely see a really nice fungal piece there. So love to see that long piece. Okay, plenty of bacteria, right? And those are great for feeding those bacterial feeders. Not a whole lot else in here. Kind of scanning for flagellates or amoeba. Don't really see any. So let's just jump to our next field of view. Okay, good aggregation in here. Lots of bacteria. Looks like maybe a little fungal stuff right in here, damaged in the shake. All right, let's move on. So we're just going on a swimming lane pattern. There's a testate amoeba right at the top, a smaller one. So that's great to see. Okay, go to field of view number 4. And we've got, let's see if you guys can see it. You can't quite, so I'll jump down a little bit. There's a testate amoeba right there that I could see through the screen, through the eyepiece. There's a fungal strand there. This guy right here. All right, so we would definitely count that. Actually, this might be a fungal piece here. Here's a piece of actinobacteria, most likely. All right, let's go to the next field of view. Okay, nice piece of fungus right there. Another piece of fungus over here coming out of this stuff. And we'll cycle through the organic matter up above. Looking at the edges. Okay. Actually taking a look at this right here, seeing if it's moving at all, see if there's anything inside. This reminds me of a naked amoeba, which does not have a test, a shell, but it's not moving. I don't really see any motion inside, so we're not going to count that, certainly. All right, so we're going to jump to the next swimming lane. And show you a couple things here. This looks like maybe a deceased testate amoeba, recently deceased, with possibly bacteria consuming it. We got a piece of fungus here. Okay, maybe a little piece of actinobacteria here and here. Checking at the different focal planes for anything else. Actually, there's something just up off the top that we may want to take a look at. Looking at this right here. Okay, what is this? Nice piece of fungus here. Big fat thing, about 5 to 6 micrometers. This looks like a testate amoeba with something out of it. Not real typical. It's not actually something I've really seen looking like this. Very curious. I would debate whether to count that, but looks interesting. That's the kind of thing I would take a picture of and post it on the internet and say, hey, anybody know what this is? All right, moving on. Moving on. Let's see. You guys can't quite see it. I'll move up. Nice testate amoeba there. Very nice piece of fungus. Uh, nice piece of fungus. Couple strands together, actually, right here. Again, scanning through the focal plane of the organic matter, looking for something. One of the coolest things that you might see in more advanced compost is fungus will completely inhabit a piece of organic matter. And as you zoom through the focal plane, if I see one here, I'll definitely show you. As you zoom through the focal, there's just fungus at all different levels. And it's just, they come in, they blur and they come into focus. And it is like, it, well, to me, it's beautiful. So really cool. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking through the different focal planes, adjusting the focus on the microscope to see if there's anything in and through and around the organic matter, right? So let's move to here. It's kind of a boring field of view. Don't really see anything yet. This here doesn't look typical for a testate amoeba, so I'm kind of careful to not count things that I just am uncertain about. Um, Almost looks like a piece of fungus here, very small, very thin, 2 micrometers or so coming up and back to that piece of organic matter. Okay, moving on. That's also a fairly boring one. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this one's pretty cool. We have like 2 or 3 strands of fungus over here that are running through this organic matter. We have a really nice testate amoeba right here. We've got another one up here. A piece of fungus here. So that's pretty busy field of view there. Okay. So just one more cool little piece here. In this particular field of view, I got 2 testate amoeba, one here, one here. And it's great. Okay, so that gives you an idea of what I'm doing when I do the assessment. We only did, I think, 2 swimming lanes. But let me jump back to, let's jump back to 40x. Here's the fun part. This is what I like to do is jump back to 40x. And then I'm gonna kind of cruise around a little bit and I'm gonna look for cool stuff. All right. At 40x, I can pretty much see a good fungal strand. And besides the nematode here, I see this really nice fungal just cruising through here. And I just love to drill down on these. So we'll go to 100. Okay. And maneuver a little bit here. So you can see how even at 100x, it's really filling the screen. So we'll go down one more to 400x. And we'll take a good look at this. All right. So this stuff gets me excited. All right, let's change my scale here. So this gets me excited. So this piece, look at this piece. Now it's running through different focal planes, so you kind of come and go. This down here, I don't know if you can, yeah, let me move so you can see this part here. This is possibly a part of this same fungus that is very young, and so it has a little different color. This kind of, I don't know, man, it's like greenish and red. And then this piece, but you can definitely see the cell walls. You can see some branches starting to branch here. It's very small. It's almost clear, but I've seen this where you can't actually see um, you see how that appears in the fungal mass and this little piece over here. Um, I've actually seen it where you can see where the new growth is, where it changes color, and it's just I guess it's just younger um, fungus, younger portion of the hyphae. So let's kind of cruise up here, take a look here. You kind of see as I change the focal plane, you can see it just cutting right through that piece of organic matter. And then there's another piece here. Actually looks like, I don't know, is it the same kind? I don't know. But one thing we see is that it has color, okay? It has uh, uniform diameter, and it has regular septa. Those are several characteristics of beneficial fungi. So this is just a beautiful, beautiful piece. And it runs for a long ways. Okay, there's a branch that you can see right there. Kind of work the focus on that so we get it. Super cool. Actually, I don't know if that's a branch. Yeah, maybe. It's not, maybe another piece just overlaid. All right, testate amoeba there to the right. And it keeps on going. So great piece of fungus. All right, I'll hop back to 40x, just see if there's anything else. What I do at this level is I kind of look for those clusters of fungi because they're so fun to look at. So I'm kind of we're at a high level here, but I'm just trying to see if there's any pieces of organic matter that just are just going gangbusters. Fungus. I'll just settle on something here in a minute. Look at this one. Mostly because I can see a nice testate amoeba right beside it. Okay. So two testate amoeba in that shot there, and great pieces of fungus up here. And we'll just zoom through the focal plane here to see if there's anything else. Yeah, not exactly what I hoped for, but okay. So let's talk about this now. I didn't really do a count. I wasn't counting testate amoeba. I'm not counting fungi. If I were doing a rapid count, I would just count pieces of fungi. Like in that picture that we just had, this particular one, I'd count two pieces. Here's one and here's one. And if I zoomed through, is there any more? No, that's about it. Okay. So I would count two pieces of fungus and then move on. And at the end, I extrapolate that. I've correlated the number of pieces that you see, the average number of pieces of fungi you see in a field of view with actual biomass quantitative calculations that I've done, which take much longer. And it's actually an amazing it's an amazing correlation. So I would just go through really quick. I would take an average. But I would say let's talk about fungus first of all. There's the Miracle-Gro potting mix, for example. It actually had pretty good fungus. Like I was a little surprised, but that's okay. I can be surprised, and we take honest data. I would be very happy with the fungal content of that. This particular compost, I'm a little surprised that there's not more fungal biomass in here. That's what I'm really trying. And I've got some new compost piles that are heavy carbon, wood chips, lots of wood chips. These are Johnson Sioux bioreactors and very heavy, uh, really no greens. And they're going to sit for 12 months. They have air columns in them, so they get aerated. And I want to see. I want to see if fungus will go absolute gangbusters. Because I want to see more than this. Okay. So I've seen more fungus in this pile than I do right now. And so that's a change that I don't understand what's happening. Was a previous test a fluke? I don't know. This current pile, I tested it a couple weeks ago, and it was about 300, probably 3 to 500 micrograms per gram. And that's pretty good. Biocomplete compost needs 135 micrograms per gram of fungus to be considered biocomplete in the fungal category. So definitely meet that. Okay, so it's inoculation grade, no question. But I'd love to see more, frankly. That's a goal of mine. So bacteria, tons of bacteria. I hate doing bacterial counts because you have to change the dilution. And it's just, I don't do very many of those. But you can see from these slides, there's a lot of bacteria moving around in there. Okay. So good bacteria numbers, good protozoa numbers. We averaged, we had fields of view where we didn't have any, but we have some like the current one I'm looking at where we have 2. So we're averaging about 1 per slide, not 1 per slide, 1 per field of view. And if I do a quick, I have a little calculation that I can run. Hold on, I'll be right back. Let me bring this up. Okay, I pulled up my calculator, my organism calculator. And so if we average 1 amoeba or 1 protozoa per field of view, you're looking at about 285,000 testate amoeba per gram of soil. Now, inoculation grade runs around 10,000 to maybe 50,000. In a really advanced soil where you're trying to grow corn, you're trying to grow row crops, you need 50,000 protozoa per gram of soil. So I'm looking at 285,000. So this is really good inoculation grade protozoa injection compost. So I really got good numbers there. For the nematodes, I can do, I punch this into my calculator. So for nematodes, biocomplete compost needs about 140 per gram. With 3 on one slide, my calculation comes out to 420 nematodes per gram of soil. So that's about 3 times the amount that I need to be considered inoculation grade. So I'm very happy with this compost. This is stuff that you can buy. Like if you're, okay, let's talk about Miracle-Gro organic potting mix, which in another video I showed has basically 0 protozoa. The entire species is missing. The entire genre, or whatever you call it, is missing. Okay. So if you took that and you took just a handful of this compost, made a little extract out of it, Like, seriously, just a handful, right? 1 kilogram, right? Which is 1,000 grams. So times, right? Let's just do the math here. Let me do the math. I got a spreadsheet open here. Times 1,000. Okay, you have one kilogram. I'm trying to get this. I got too many videos running, so my spreadsheet can't calculate it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's okay. That's 285 million. That was an easy calculation. I could have done that in my head. 285 million protozoa in a handful, and you're going to put that in your pot. You think your pot's going to come back with some protozoa in it next time you do an assessment? And if you do that every week for 3 or 4 weeks, every Sunday, your Miracle-Gro potting mix is going to turn into some pretty good stuff. It's going to be fine. So that's why we make this. We don't make this so that you can spread this 5 inches thick on your garden bed. We make this so you can either put it very thinly, or better yet, you turn it into an extract and just drench it in your soil, and just takes those organisms or in the water, and they just soak right down in and get going in your soil. So that's what compost looks like. That's what good compost looks like. And I hope you enjoyed that. It's kind of long video, but not too many people do this kind of thing. So I'm glad to post it. And if you followed it all the way through, that's great. You can like it if you want, but I don't care. I just do this for free. I'm not looking for likes and subscribes and numbers and, income. So I just want the information out there so people can say, oh, hey, look at this compost. This is pretty good compost. And that's what it looks like. So until next time, I hope you're out there making compost and growing good stuff. So we'll see you then.